Good afternoon, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. We're at 2004 Southeast 143rd Avenue here in Portland. Located at the rear of the home, going through a 4-inch ABS cleanout. We're going to check the overall condition and serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. Water's running. On the note of the cleanout real quick, someone lopped the top of this thing off with a lawnmower probably. It just needs a new cap put on it. $5 at Home Depot and you're good to go. Wondering. This is going to turn, take us back into the house. You know, all right, we're going backwards into the house here, just partly because I couldn't verify at first we were actually in the sewer line. We are indeed. The reason water was not running from the fixtures inside is the bathtub and sink are just dumping water right into the crawl space. So that right there is the back of the line where you start to go up the vent stack. That light up there at the end of the tunnel, that's the sky. We're looking up through the vent there. So what I'm noticing about the cast iron, not that necessarily everyone in the world runs backwards on these things, but some people do. Your flow line is channeling. It doesn't appear to be totally perforated through yet, but when you get a channel or a trough like that in the flow line, your time on these things is fairly limited before that just rots through. So I would suggest updating the cast iron under the house. In fact, the cast iron starts just outside. It starts just before the clean out. It extends outside the home. So we're going to now zero the foot counter out here. And this is pretty shallow out here. I'm just looking into the clean out right now. You're somewhere around 2 feet deep, so pretty shallow. Given it's a two-way clean out and it's pretty easy to run backwards through it, and where it's situated, we're not sitting right up against the foundation wall. The average person with a camera is probably going to go backwards and is probably going to see that cast iron. Alright, we're now getting into some decent standing water here, and I'm really not running a lot of water at the moment. I've got a garden hose running on pretty light bore water flow, so that belly we just went through, you're getting a pretty accurate look at it. You've got probably a good 2 inches or more of standing water there. Go back into another belly. First I thought this was going to go out to a side street. I think it's doing a full-on wraparound. They're at about 90 feet. We're swapping over to 6-inch 3034 PVC pipe. And right here, what this is, my camera's upside down right now. What we're coming up on is a vertical drop straight into the top of the main. I'm not going to round that bend. We're sitting directly over top the main right now out in the roadway. We're going to go locate to verify that. We're well into city territory here. Everything from this point forward is just a straight vertical drop into the top of the main. Alrighty, we are now located out on, it looks like Southeast Harrison. So as you face this house from the street, line goes out to the side street to the left of the home as you face the front door from the road, or face the front of the house in general. And I just located there. We're lined right up with the manhole down the road. That's a fairly common setup there when you get main laterals that are at very deep depths. Sometimes they'll just do a vertical drop like that. And part of the reason I don't even mess at this distance out, I'd have to about break my camera to round that bend. It's not worth messing with for city pipe. All right, all the PVC there looks good and drains nicely. We'll pull back here. So we do have some standing water areas in the line. What I was going to say there, this is a long sewer line. It's a septic tank conversion. That's why it's so long and it has the configuration it does. Used to be a septic back here, and because of how expensive it is to reverse plumbing under the house, they often will just keep the line going out the back and wrap them around the house. It's an extra 10, 15 grand to reverse your plumbing in a lot of cases. So anyway, when you have a line that's this length, it's extremely common. After 13 years of scoping lines and about 24 or 5,000 sewer scopes, most sewer lines that push over 100 feet will have standing water in them. And often it's you know, what you would call more significant levels of standing water. Although we are in 4-inch smooth plastic pipe here, where bellies are not anywhere near as detrimental to flow as, you know, you take the same belly and put it in like that rough cast iron you've got going back into the house, for instance. You put an inch or two of standing water in that situation, it's a completely different animal. The standing water is always going to slow things down to some extent. When you have those nice smooth pipe walls like you do here, that mitigates a ton of the flow problems that can arise from a belly, because you don't have rough, snarly pipe walls to snag onto things as it slowly moves through that area. So this belly here is rinky-dink. This thing's hardly even worth talking about. It runs from about 55 to 62 feet. You've got about a 1/4 inch of water there at its worst point. That one is a long ways away from repair worthy. If I recall, we have another one closer in. That one looked a little bit more significant. Now, and no belly guarantees blockages will happen, especially in a plastic sewer line, but it does make it more likely, especially under high volume scenarios where you have a lot of people in the home, especially little kids wadding up toilet paper like a softball, and or under scenarios where abusive items are going down the line like paper towels. All right, so we're just around the back left corner of the house. It's kind of an awkward spot to locate because of the ivy all over the ground. I'm getting around 3 foot 3 inches deep there, and that's just under dirt. So not a terribly deep belly, and you don't have any concrete there to go cutting through or anything like that, which is nice. I'll let the water settle into place here for a second. Anyway, this belly in particular here, it fully submerges the camera. Looks like you've got somewhere around the 2-inch mark of standing water in this location. About 2 foot 9 inches deep there. I'm pushing out. This thing is so dang close to the house. I'll try and verify it doesn't go underneath it. Now the line just hugs pretty close up to the side of the house here. I'm not catching it going underneath the house though. Anyway, that one is marked out with green paint. You'll see an X at each end. It basically spans from, it's kind of a funky shaped house. You've got kind of 2 corners on this back left corner of the home. It spans basically corner to corner. And then in here you've got some minor standing water. You know, this is not the kind of stuff I would recommend repairing. The only circumstance where I'd ever recommend repairing standing water this minor is if it's necessary to fix the belly up in front of it. Sometimes when you've got, in this case, about an 11-foot belly, you're not always able to just simply repair that 11-foot section. Sometimes you got to chase the grade out a little ways, especially when you've got some minor standing water preceding it. So just be aware of that. Sometimes that 11-foot repair turns into more like 20 feet in order to chase the grade out far enough. So right here, again, the cast iron here, it is functioning, but it's in fairly rough condition. All right, and we're about 2 foot 2 inches deep here. You'll see my paint markings very close to the gas meter. I can't locate all of it because a lot of that's under the house, but that is stuff I do recommend repairing there. The cast iron, honestly, is it's reaching the end of its lifespan. When you start getting channeling like that, it's not predicting how quickly it'll wear out completely and rot through is hard. And I can't run water through the inside of the house anyway to even test whether it is somewhat porous. Sometimes cast iron will get a scale layer over the top of a rotted area, and you can't see it or tell unless you have water running through the line. So anyway, anytime I get channeling to that extent, I recommend it be updated so you don't have to play that game once it does rot through, if it's not potentially already partially there. But there's some green markings there. That T marking is where the cast iron starts, and it extends back into the house, to the vent stack. And then right as you round this bend here on this back left corner, again, that's as you face the house from the street, you'll see the green markings. They wrap around that corner there. That's where the more significant belly in the line is. As the line currently sits, if we're simply talking about the updated pipe, it is functioning at this time. It is draining slower than it should due to the belly. Again, doesn't guarantee blockages will happen. In a lot of cases, when you're talking bellies and smooth plastic pipe like this, it hugely comes down to the homeowner and how the line is being treated. If you're just putting folded toilet paper down this thing, nothing abusive, no balls of toilet paper, it's fairly unlikely a belly like that would ever cause a problem. It's not until you start getting into big balls of toilet paper, whole bunch of them going down the line at once, and or paper towels, wipes, flushable wipes, things like that, before that really starts to actually act up on you. After any repairs are done, I highly recommend re-scoping the sewer line to check the work, especially any areas that get dug up. You want to check those when the trench is closed to verify you don't have any settling issues afterwards. Bellies, for instance, that belly there on the corner would have looked perfect before you buried it. So you want to check all that stuff after the trench is closed up. Otherwise, everything in between all those different spots, the minor belly from 55 to 62 feet is way too minor to need repairs, in my opinion. The standing water that precedes the belly from 25 to 36 feet, that thing is so minor, it's not even going on a report. Any repair guys looking at this that need to fix this thing, they may take that into account, though, when repairing it. They may have to take it back to where that minor standing water begins in order to chase the grade out far enough. And then the cast iron I would update just to be on the safe side. It's channeling and it's nearing the end of its lifespan at this point.